We are live for day 3 of Thrive 2025. If you are just joining us, baby, you are just a little tardy for the party, but you are pulling up at the perfect time, okay? I don't believe in coincidences. I know that if the Lord said, baby, you're going to be late to this party, but He made sure that you were going to get here just on time for exactly what you need. And all of the replays for all of the days are available on YouTube at Coriel. So if you are not subscribed, make sure that you hit the subscribe button over on YouTube so that you can catch those replays and so that you can stay up to date and connected with all the amazing informational content that we are dropping throughout the year. If you did not know, I am the founder and executive director of For the Culture Foundation, who is sponsoring this entire experience. Now, even though Thrive 2025 is free, we are definitely encouraging donations so that we can keep the lights on at For the Culture Foundation. We truly, truly believe that in order to help the Black community, we got to heal the Black family. And so part of our resources is this programming that is centered around family, finances, and farming. Now, if you have been here for days 1 and 2, then you've already gotten that goodness in relation to family and farming. And tonight we are getting into a conversation around finances, because if we are going to be able to truly create a sustainable community, we got to figure out, number one, how we can communicate together, and then how we can start building some of these family businesses. So our first session tonight is centered around recognizing and resolving conflict. In this engaging and actionable workshop, Adrienne Allen is going to help us explore practical strategies to recognize, manage, and resolve conflict effectively in both personal and professional settings. Now, before I bring Adrienne up, in the chat, I am going to drop the link for you to learn more about For the Culture Foundation. I have to get this out before I forget, because nominations are currently open for our next staycation giveaway. So each and every month, we send a stressed out mama on a free staycation, and all of the donations that we are collecting here at Thrive 2025 will go towards funding those staycations. So you can not only donate to help us fund the staycations, but you can also nominate yourself or a stressed out mama that you know. So if you log on to thecurefortheculture.com, you can learn more about our mission, our programs, and nominate yourself. You might win. All right, without further ado, I am bringing up Adrienne Allen, and I will make sure that I share her social media information as well, so that you can not only connect with her here, but you can connect with her over on social media as well. Welcome to Thrive, Adrienne. You are
I'm muted,
muted.
y'all. I know, I saw it. Thank you all so much. I am so excited to be here. We are going to try to work through these slides, y'all. If Coriel and I did check first, and so the parts that don't work, I have a solution for it if I need to share my screen, because I do have some videos that I want you to watch. And I hope that we have a good time. And so, for the semantics of it all, I am Adrienne Alexander Allen. I am a public relations and project management expert. I have been working in the field of public relations for over 20 years. My clients tend to live in the entertainment, lifestyle, wellness, and entrepreneurial spaces. I did start my business before I had my degree. And so, in my mind, because I already had my business, I was like, okay, I'm going to be successful. This is all going to work. We don't have to worry about it. That wasn't it. And so I was like, okay, well, let me go do the professional side of it, go to school, get my degree, and then I'll be able to, flourish financially. And that wasn't it either, right? And so I had to lean into, although PR is what I love and what I do, I had to also find other ways to supplement my income. And one of those ways was becoming certified in conflict resolution and conflict management. And that works especially because in dealing in PR, a lot of what we're doing is storytelling, crisis management. We are writing and we are making our clients look positive and share their story, in a positive light where people want to learn more about it. And so that doesn't come without its fair share of conflict. And so this directly aligns with what it is that I do and what it is that we're going to be learning tonight. So you can read all of the things about Adrienne and who she is, but I just wanted to give it to you raw and fast. And so conflict is inevitable in any relationship, team, or organization, but it doesn't have to be destructive. Whenever we talk about conflict, for the most part, we are thinking about it negatively. And I'm going to share my screen. Let's go over here. And so it doesn't always have to be negative. We think about conflict and we hear there's a negative connotation when it comes to conflict. But this presentation will share proven strategies for transforming disagreements into opportunities for growth and understanding. You're going to learn how to navigate through conversations, resolve conflicts with empathy, and build stronger, more collaborative relationships in your personal and professional lives. Whether you're managing a team, running a business, or just simply looking to improve your interpersonal skills, this session, offers practical. Why can't I speak, y'all? This session offers practical tools to turn conflict into collaboration. And so I have a short video that I want you all to watch. I teach this in all of my conflict resolution classes. Whenever I'm presenting, I always share this video because the message is so much bigger than a video. So let's watch.
It's just, there's all this pressure, and sometimes it feels like it's right up on me and I can just feel it, like literally feel it in my head, and it's relentless. And I don't know if it's going to stop. I mean, that's the thing that scares me the most, is that I don't know if it's ever going to stop.
Yeah. Well, you do have a nail in your head.
It is not about the nail.
Are you sure? Because, I'll bet if we got that out of there.
Stop trying to fix it.
No, I'm not trying to fix it. I'm just pointing out that maybe the nail is causing.
You always do this. You always try to fix things when what I really need is for you to just listen.
See, I don't think that is what you need. I think what you need is to get the nail
See, you're
out.
not even listening now.
Okay, fine. I will listen. Fine.
It's just, sometimes it's like there's this achy, I don't know what it is. And I'm not sleeping very well at all. And all my sweaters are snagged. All of them.
Yeah, that sounds really hard.
It is. Thank you. Ow!
Oh, come on. If you would just...
Don't
try to see things my way.
So what did you all, I know I can't see you if you are there. Was there any takeaway that you got from that video? Were there any questions? Did you like the video? Because it's not always about the nail, right? We always think that we know what it is that what we need and where we need to hear from somebody. And we don't always accept what it is that they're trying to help us with or what it is that they say. And so showing, oh, thank you, Aaliyah. That's my daughter's name. But yeah, so it's like when we are dealing with wanting and accepting help, it can sometimes come across as not necessarily knowing what we need in the moment. And so what is conflict? Conflict arises when two or more parties perceive a clash between their goals, values, or needs. It's neither inherently negative or positive. Its impact depends on how it's managed. For example, I once had a disagreement with a close friend about how often we should keep in touch. And I know we see all of the memes and everything that talk about, regardless of how often you stay in contact, how often you talk to each other. Some friends are just friends regardless. And that is absolutely the truth. But it doesn't change that you feel hurt when they don't check on you as often as you expect. And, you sometimes might assume that the bond didn't require frequent communication. They may not have, but you want it because maybe your love language is attention. And so if they aren't reaching out as often as you feel they should, that can lead to a misunderstanding and tension until you have that conversation. In our situation, we sat down, we shared how we both felt. And so by talking about it, we realized that our expectations were simply different. Not wrong, but different. And we agreed on a balance that worked for both of us. And I want to tell people, I always say, remember, if nothing else, expectation breeds disappointment. We sometimes push expectations on others, and when it doesn't work out the way that we expect it to, then we're angry with them when we should be angry with ourselves because of that expectation. I don't know how many of us, I know me all of the time, I will have a whole conversation in my head about how a conversation with someone else should go. I answer for myself, I say what they're going to say, I have it all figured out. And then when it happens and it doesn't happen the way that I expected it to, then I'm upset. And so that goes to identifying the types of conflict. When I said that they aren't always negative, that's because we have interpersonal conflict, which is disputes between individuals, friendships, family, your loved ones. That's interpersonal. Professional conflict, challenges within teams, leadership disputes, or organization-wide issues. And then, like I said, internal conflict. We have this personal struggle between competing priorities or values, for example, work-life balance, relationships, being a mom, being a parent, being a spouse. So we have these this internal conflict that we deal with. And so when we deal with conflict, you want to learn how to recognize your triggers. And as I said in that scenario that I gave in that example, a lot of conflict happens from miscommunication. And in business, that can be emails, and personal too, emails that aren't clear, unclear instructions, or assumptions. We all know what they say about assumptions. And so miscommunication is number one trigger and number one reason for conflict. And then we have emotional triggers, personal insecurities, previous experiences, or again, as I mentioned, unmet expectations. And then, y'all, going into 2025, cultural differences. Not that 2025 is the start of cultural differences, but I feel like 2025 is going to be the year of conflict when dealing with cultural differences. This is diverging norms and values based on cultural backgrounds. And so before I get to this video, was there anyone that had any questions so far? Any comments, anything that you wanted to share before I play this next video that I have for us? You've been on both sides of what, Shirley? And thank you for that. And I know it's I'm going to leave time because I know we're typing and it's not, we're not talking to one another. So definitely, if you have something to say, I will answer you because I want this to be interactive. I want us to learn and engage. And I want to laugh with you all. So we can do some LOLs and some smiley faces in the chat as well. And we'll wait for a couple of minutes for Shirley, because Shirley going to tell me she's been on both sides of it. Thank you, YG. I appreciate that. Well, while we wait for Shirley, I'm not sure if she's going to come back, but while we wait for her, I'm going to show you how to deal with conflict.
Okay, so if you put a bunch of people together and ask them to achieve something, the chances are there will be a disagreement or two. Conflict is a natural part of working in teams, and it can occur for a number of reasons. For example, it could be a conflict caused by processes, overlapping roles, or differences in opinion. Sometimes conflicts can be caused by external influences, but of course the classic reason is interpersonal conflict. Now, when a conflict occurs, there are steps you can take to solve it constructively. The correct way would be to take a step back and ask yourself some challenging questions. Start by asking yourself, why is there a conflict in the first place? Simply by thinking about the cause of the conflict could be enough to give you the solution. It may help to write it down or discuss it with someone, but if that doesn't shed any light, then try seeing it from the other person's point of view. Best-selling author Stephen Covey uses the phrase, "Seek first to understand, then to be understood." By this he means if you understand the other person's point of view, then you can get your point across much easier. Finally, try to remember what's really important. What are your priorities? Is your point of view in line with the overall objectives of the team? And are you being true to your principles? Try to keep emotions out of it and keep conversations professional. But most importantly, be focused on a solution. Don't dwell on the conflict or hold grudges. Be focused on finding a win-win outcome. Although conflict can be damaging to a team's productivity, it's worth considering the upsides of conflict. Yes, conflict can have its benefits. Think about it. If ideas aren't challenged and different views aren't aired, then how do good ideas ever become great ideas? The Honda Corporation are actually known to encourage conflict in its design teams because they recognize that out of the chaos can come great creativity. So the right amount of conflict can be good, but generally, teams working in harmony perform better. So to be an effective member of a team, you need to be mindful of why conflict occurs and the questions you can ask yourself in order to find a resolution.
And so, let's see, what are some tools I can use to keep from shutting down during a conflict? Great question, Sadie. I'm going to get to the tools. They're coming up, and I'm getting ready to start some next. Well, so I'll just do this, and then we'll come back to your question because they're about to be answered right now. So when we're dealing with conflict, we want to utilize empathy and active listening. Active listening means focusing on a speaker without planning your rebuttal. In layman terms, when we always talk about people listen to respond and not to hear, when we should be listening to hear and not to respond. It goes back to my conversation of saying, I can be in a disagreement with someone, in conflict with someone, and regardless of what they're saying, I haven't heard a word because I have already planned my response. And that's not an effective way to deal with conflict. So what you want to do is reflect back on what you heard to confirm your understanding. And this is before you get to the shutdown phase, we hope, because I know some people shut down instantly. But what you want to do is breathe and listen and actively listen, like we said. So you want to make sure that when you're in it, you are hearing what they're saying and not just listening to what they're saying. For example, I put an example here of a manager listens to an employee's frustration over unrealistic deadlines and acknowledges their feelings before explaining constraints. And that's important also. You always want to make sure that you acknowledge someone else's feelings. The favorite part of conflict is I statements. I live by I statements. I statements will save lives. Replace blaming language with personal accountability to lower defenses. So you can say, I feel overwhelmed when last minute changes are made instead of you're always disorganized. Always, when you say I feel, it takes the blaming out of. I wish, I think, I feel, I see. Using I statements are a definite way to make sure that you are explaining how you feel without placing blame on the other person. And then when we think about shutting down, that nonverbal communication side of the house, you want to try to maintain open body language. When you sit and you talk to somebody and you cross your arms or you're looking around, you're not paying attention, you're not making eye contact, those are things that are going to enhance the conflict. because the other person will feel like you're not listening. They feel like you don't care. They feel like you don't value what it is that they're saying to you or trying to communicate to you. So avoid eye rolling, avoid the heavy sighing or the interrupting, because we know also interrupting will escalate the tension. Some de-escalation techniques. Like I said, and I get I statements on here. See, I told you I love I statements. I forgot to replace this one. I got it on here twice. That's how much I love I statements, y'all. But again, when talking about like you're shutting down, try techniques like deep breathing, grounding exercises. Grounding exercises are our form of woosah. We're gonna do some woosah. I don't know how old everybody is in here, so I hope everybody get the woosah. But then, we also, when emotions run high, our fight or flight kicks in. And when fight or flight kicks in, that's when that shutdown happens. And those shutting down that impairs the problem solving. So you want to avoid addressing conflict during high stress moments. So you want to, and I have on here, I'll get on that also, is a technique we call HALT. And so it's just like you don't go to the grocery store hungry. You don't go to a conflict when you are hungry, angry, lonely, tired. Like you need to halt, you need to stop, you need to breathe, and you need to work through whatever it is that you are feeling that makes you want to shut down. And so you want to build collaborative solutions. You want to focus on shared goals. For example, both parties may want to deliver a successful project. This is again in workplace conflict. And so what outcome would work best for us, for both of us? But as you saw in the video, we can be talking about hot or cold, and we want to find a way to get to warm. And so that is compromise versus collaboration. When you compromise, each party gives us something to reach a middle ground. Now, we do have another technique or a form of conflict where people compromise too much. You know what I mean? Like you are the person who's always compromising. And that is going to go back to that personal conflict that you feel because you feel like you can't win, because you are always the person that wants to compromise or feels like you have to compromise because the other person doesn't give you an opportunity to collaborate. And that's why you need to find an opportunity for both parties to work together to find a mutually beneficial solution. And that's only going to happen if you have a conversation and that you communicate. You have to communicate your wants, needs, desires. That conversation should be open-ended on both sides. It should not always be one person that is compromising or always shutting down or walking away, because it's easier to shut down and walk away than it is to have a conversation with that other person. And so you want to provide a practical framework for resolution. You got to clarify what the issue is. We have to agree on what the conflict is about, because so many disagreements and so much conflict happens when we ain't even arguing about the same thing, y'all. We not talking about the same thing. We on two different pages, two opposite ends of the spectrum in conflict, because we haven't even agreed on or had a conversation about what it is that we are upset about. And when we're doing that, each party needs to explain their perspective without interruption. And I know sometimes that's hard, because when they say something to get on your nerves or they say something to hit your button and push your trigger, you want to jump in there. But we need to make sure that we are listening actively and allowing the other person space to share what it is that they're dealing with as well. And then we can brainstorm solutions and work together to create options without judgment, and choose a solution and set the clear next steps. All of this needs to be communicated effectively, clearly, and open. Before I move on, I'm gonna go back over here and see if there are any more questions. Ooh, YG, you talking about me? Am I long-winded? No, but I know, listen, I understand. And I know it can be hard. It can be hard, especially if somebody is going around the mountain to tell you what their problems are, but you're gonna have to listen. As hard as it can be, you're gonna have to listen, because some people, If I don't know what I'm feeling or what I'm dealing with, then I don't know how to communicate it with you without going around the ends of the earth to tell you. And so them being long-winded just might be their way of trying to get it out because they don't know exactly what it is. And so we have to listen to them and give them an opportunity to share and let you know what they're feeling, what they're going through. And because they might say you long-winded too. You never know. So, and Shirley said, not being understood and not listening. So when you learn these things and these tools, it's a lot easier to find the holes in other people and how they deal with conflict. And so you are going to have to tap yourself on the shoulder and pat yourself on the back because you know you've done the work, right? You've done the work to be able to recognize conflict. You've done the work to learn how to de-escalate, how to collaborate. And when you see someone who doesn't have those same skills, you have to give them a little grace. And then, like this might be an opportunity for you to teach them too. You can be like, listen, let's use I statements in our conversation. I don't want you to point your finger at me. I hate when you always come home late. You can say, I feel like you don't want to be home. I feel like I'm missing you, but you aren't missing me like I'm missing you. It's got to be a better way to highlight the conflict without pointing fingers. That's the end. I thought I had some more slides. So, but this is my slide. You can follow me on Instagram. You can go to my website. I do have a conflict resolution framework worksheet that you can download. I also have a book. It's called Creating a Middle Conflict Tips for the Modern World. And I just want we can have this time. I'm not going anywhere. I know, Sadie, I was like, let's talk some more. Let's talk about it. But so if we were in person, I do have worksheets that we would complete, tasks that we can do that could be interactive so that we could learn together how to effectively deal with conflict. But we can also take this time to answer some questions and really tap into our conflict side and how we usually handle conflict. I could also maybe give you all some scenarios and see how you would handle it. Let's see. Shirley said, how do you use those tools if the person is incompetent? Ooh, job related, and you don't like working with them. I'm doing, Shirley, I get it. So I think, so there are a couple of ways to answer that. One, are they directly involved with your work? Does their work affect your work? Okay. So yeah, if their work is affecting your work, then I think that you all need to have a conversation. I understand incompetence. I do. However, are you their superior or are they your superior? Or are you equals? Are you equal or are you their boss? They're your boss? Okay. Okay. So when I've had a boss like that, and that's why I think I'm so tickled because I get it. Trust me, I do. However, because they are your boss, there are certain boundaries that can't be crossed, right? And so I think for you, you will need to create that bubble around yourself of how you deal with this interpersonal conflict that you have going on with your coworker or with your superior. And so what you need to do is, when you know that you have to deal with them, put the bubble up. It's like deep breath, ground yourself, not allowing them to affect your day. And that's worse. Y'all in healthcare, Lord have mercy. I've been there too. So listen, but yes, so I think that you can't allow her to affect you to the point that it bothers you internally. Like, you have to disconnect from that person on a personal level. Like, you need to treat them and deal with them as as if this is work only. It's like, and I'm not saying if you all chatty Cathy or anything like that, but it definitely needs to be a disconnect, a woosah again, like I said. So like, when you see her coming, when you all have to engage, whenever you have to write out your notes or whatever you have to do, like, it's always got to be okay, let me deal with this. And then once you are finished dealing with her, blow it off and keep on going about it. Because again, you're in a position where she's your superior, so it's not much you can do in terms of that. But you have to make sure that you are grounded yourself, so that dealing with her incompetence doesn't take you out of your space. Does that help? Yes, please drop your questions in the chat. How do you keep from taking things personally in a professional setting? By not taking it personally in a professional setting. No, you have to realize and recognize a job is a job. A career is a career. Like, these are things that are external from your personal self. And so you have to realize and recognize that I can't take this home with me. I can't leave. I want to leave them where they are. So I want to connect with them and collaborate with them in that space. And then once I leave that space, I leave them where they are. And so I know when I worked a job, I had some people that I would talk to high level, right? High level. You don't know too much about me unless I want you to know about me. You don't know. I mean, I might have my pictures on the desk, so like my family, you can see my family, but you're going to see only what I want you to see about my personal life. And I don't want you to tell me about your personal life, because I don't want us to have it come back down the road that we've been talking and now I know something about you that wasn't supposed to get out and somebody else told it and I don't know. So we need to be professional at work and take the personal home with us. And then again, if you don't have my telephone number to have a personal conversation with me, just because you have my telephone number because I'm on call or because I need to call out or whatever the case may be. But if we aren't having personal conversations and you don't know me personally, nothing about what you do at work is going to affect me after I clock out. I only do help concerning my patients, but that can be a bit burdensome. Yeah, keep doing what you know is right, because to your point, the patients are what matters. And if something happened on your watch, she's not going to be in trouble for it. You are. So you do what you need to do to make sure that the patients are taken care of, that your job is taken care of, and that you're doing what you were hired to do. If it comes to policies or anything like that, that's something different. We deal with that on that different level. But as long as you are doing your job and you are taking care of the patients, her questioning it is not on you. She need to take that up with whoever is over top of her, because you are doing, and in conversation, you can say that I am doing what's best for the patients. My goal, my focus is the care and concern of the patients. I understood what you were saying. What type of family conflicts with elders? Because I didn't say this on here, but I also work in the caregiving space. So are we talking about conflicts with elders Which type of conflict are we talking about? Oh, okay. I don't know the age of everybody in here, and I don't know where you all are from. I was raised by my grandparents, so we were in church 7 days a week, 2 times on Sunday. I mean, 4 times on Sunday, and so I was always raised. You're welcome, Shirley. I was raised to respect my elders. We also know that elders are human. Parents are human. People are human. Before they are your parents, your grandparents, cousins, family members, they are human. And so when it comes to dealing with disrespect from elders, we need to make sure that we are respectfully telling them, I will not, come on, Sadie, I'm from Baltimore. But we need to respectfully tell them, I will not deal with disrespect. And so you can have these conversations and remove yourself from the disrespect. If you are in a situation where you are being disrespected by elders or by anyone, feel free to remove yourself from that conversation. Tell them how you feel. Again, this is communication. This is sharing what you will and will not tolerate and setting boundaries around yourself to not be disrespected. And so, again, using I statements, using those de-escalation techniques that I have, that is going to be a great way to stop yourself from being in a position where you feel like you have to be disrespected simply because they are your elders. You should not be disrespected by anybody. And so you should be able to, again, use those techniques, those tips, and those tactics to remove yourself from conflict that is disrespectful, that is hurtful, that is demeaning. So that is how you would do that. You need to remove yourself from that situation and then use those tips and techniques to have a conversation with elders because elders feel like once they elderly, they can do what they want to do, right? Like I can say what I want to do. Ain't nobody going to check me, but that's not, you don't have to set yourself up to be disrespected. Dundalk is Baltimore County. So it depends. Like when we talk about Baltimore, like you can be from Baltimore or you can be from Baltimore. Can you cover how to deal with conflict between parents and teachers? That can be tough not to take things personally. Yes, that is a good question. I think that what is very important to, again, communicate effectively with teachers and parents. So for a long time, my son is grown now and in his own career. However, when he was younger, you have a personality of a child who, once they're moving through the school system, sometimes they get caught up in this whirlwind of being talkative, being a distraction, being a certain type of way. And so when they get to new teachers, that teacher has already had a conversation. And so, it becomes a place where you feel like your child is being attacked. And I'm speaking personally for me. I know, Coriel, I'm going on your question, but that was how it was for me. And so when you have you have teachers that you need to have conversations with about your children, you need to make sure that you are, again, communicating it effectively. Those I statements they're still the part, because you want to say, I feel like my child isn't learning in your class. I feel like my child is being pushed aside, or I feel like my son or daughter isn't reaching their full potential. Can we have a conversation about this? Can we talk about what they can do better or more of or less of in your class? What can you do more of or less of? What do you need me to do? How can I help you help my child so that we can all be on the same page? Because I don't want it to be personal. I want to talk to you. This is parent to teacher. I want to have a conversation with you about my child professionally and their professional studentship in this school or in this place. I don't want it to be personal, because emotions do get involved, especially when it's your children. Emotions can run high, especially if the teacher is saying something that you don't like. I lost my light. Sorry, y'all. the teacher is saying something that you don't like, or you feel like, oh, I don't know if I'm running out of battery, y'all. But anyway, you can still see me enough. I hate that it's dark, but you can see me a little bit. But yes, so you want to make sure that you are talking to that teacher and letting them know, hey, what can we do better? See if it works. It ain't gonna work. I ain't gonna keep on messing with it. But yeah, so make sure that you're having those conversations with those teachers. And sometimes it's best to do email, because when we have conversations in person, those conversations can sometimes get heated. So we want to make sure that we are documenting everything first. And then we want to make sure that we explain the things, because also the lack of emotion in paper doesn't always translate. So you want to put your thoughts on paper first, and then let's have a conversation to go over the things that we feel are different or are causing conflict between you and my child, so that we can come to a resolution and get to the finish line. Oh, I need my light for this, y'all. Hold on. Let me see how I can get me some light. Hold on, y'all. That's a good question. I need some light. Let's see if I can put this up here. All right, that's a little bit of light. Okay. Conflicts with co-parenting. I'm gonna move over here, so I move this light. Conflicts in co-parenting. That obviously takes a little more work, because you're dealing with two people in that same scenario who want the best for their child, or feel like they know what's best for their child and what their child should do, even though it's your child together. And so you also have to have these conversations where you are, and I know this is again high level, because I know it's not always easy to co-parent. I understand that. However, what you want to try to do is have a conversation where you are listening actively to what the other one feels and what they're saying. You want to make sure that you are listening, because whatever their thoughts are, or what they're feeling, or what they're doing, you want to make sure that you are hearing them the same way you want them to hear you. This is why I say you want to listen to hear and understand, not just listen to respond. Let me make sure it's okay. Yeah. So you want to make sure that you're listening to hear and not just to respond. And that's usually what happens. What happens is each person wants to get their point across, each person wants to tell their side. And so you need to leave space to communicate effectively for both of you. You want to leave space to tell your side, what your thoughts are, what your feelings are, and you want to allow them that same respect and that same courtesy. And so when you're co-parenting, let's say this is the right way to do this. I want to make sure that our child does XYZ. You want to make sure that our child does ABC. So let's find the middle of the alphabet so that we can come together. And again, same scenario with the respect. I won't allow you to disrespect me. I'm not going to stay in this conversation if I'm not being heard. So we can disconnect now and come back later on when we have both cleared our minds and blew off a little steam, so that we know that we can have a conversation. That's what I think I forgot. And it is on the, if you want to download the framework that I have, that was what was supposed to be on that slide, was the HALT technique that I mentioned. So you want to avoid addressing conflict when you're hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. And so that is because, again, like I mentioned, like we talked about earlier, when you are in the grocery store, you don't want to shop when you're hungry. When you're tired, you can be snappy. When you're lonely, you can be snappy. When you're dealing with all of these emotions on your own, you don't want to take that time to deal with a conflict, because you're already feeling away. And so you want to make sure that when you come to the table for conflict or when you're co-parenting, that you are fresh, that you are in a great space to speak, and that you're open to hearing and receiving the same way you want them to be open and receiving and receptive of what it is that you're sharing. Wait a minute, Aaliyah, hold on. Aaliyah said I had that conversation with teachers a few times and had to lay hands, call the news, and won the lawsuit. Oh, girl, we're going to have to talk about that on the side. You did not use your conflict resolution skills. You did not, but you're going to be better now. I don't know what happened and what got you there, but now we have some more tips and tricks that you will be able to use going forward in the future. Right. Right, Corio. Wait a minute. YG said, I had a situation like that and had a meeting. I was respectful and professional after the meeting. I gave it a few months with no results. So I put him in another school, which is working great for him. And that is also, that's what I was saying when I was saying about my son. Because sometimes when, like they feel a certain way about your child, or, all of these adults have come together to have conversations about a child, is very unfortunate, but it happens. And sometimes there is no resolution when it comes to situations like that at the work site, like Sadie was saying, like at the school. And sometimes I know it's harder when it's your job and it's your career. You can't just walk away. But if it's a situation that you can change, then by all means, do what's best for you and your child and your household. How do you come back from laying hands, baby? Look, I know I've been real professional, but I am also from Baltimore. But you know what? You can come back from laying hands. Honestly, in real talk, you can come back from laying hands. And that would require a conversation. That would require a clearing of the minds. All hearts and minds are clear. It would be getting to the root cause of what happened. Now, if Aaliyah is barred from there and can't go back, you know what I mean? Like if you lay hands and then you can't go back to that place, then, ain't no coming back from it. But if it is a situation, family, a friend that you get into a physical altercation with, you want to make sure that you clear the air. So much conflict happens because, like I mentioned, we don't talk about it. People don't talk about what the problem was. They don't share. They get upset. They get in their feelings and they don't talk about what's bothering them. And so instead of having that conversation, we walk around angry. We walk around holding on to that conflict, that internal conflict where we're fighting ourselves because you might miss the person. You want to talk to the person. You want to clear the air. You don't understand why it happened for real. You just know that we had to go fisticuffs. And now here we are not speaking to each other. And so what you want to try to do is find a way to come back together, to clear the air, find out what the conflict was, what caused it, how did we get here? How did it get to the point that we had to fight? Like what can we talk about and how can we find out why this conflict happened? And we want to make sure that it doesn't happen again. And so that's how you come back from laying hands. I know my son, he can be a bit privileged, meaning how he get treated at home. And it's good that you know that because again, we want to do the best for our kids. We want to make sure that they don't struggle the way we struggled. We want to make sure that they have more than we had. We want to make sure, and sometimes we overcorrect, right? Sometimes you want to make sure that they don't struggle the way you struggled. And then in doing that, you overcorrect and now they're privileged or feel entitled and things of that nature. And so you just have to make sure that you ground them the way that you ground yourself. You need to make sure that although, hey, listen, you have it way better than I had it. You got a lot going on. You have a lot better than a lot of kids. Other kids might not have it. So let's make sure that we are having this conversation to stay grounded because I don't want you to take what you've been given and use it for bad when you should be using it for good. Anybody else? This was good, y'all. I hate that my light disrespected me. My light, I had to get a new light like Coriel. Coriel has good lights. Did anybody else have any questions? Any concerns? Do you? Yes. Yes. Gentle parenting is not my ministry. My husband and I talk about this. My son, same son that I talked about, um, I think that I've said time and time again, gentle parenting is for gentle children, right? And children are not gentle. Children are gentle. And while we want to not have them feel the way a lot of us as adults feel, because we know that we can't, the conversations with gentle parenting go into abuse and, like the spankings and all the things. But without discipline, we see what happens in the world. We see what happens when there is no discipline. And so I am, as I mentioned about caregiving, I am raising my granddaughter. I've had her since she was about 1. She will be 5 next month. And although I parent her differently, I definitely still parent her. And so she knows boundaries, she knows limitations, she knows, what to do. She is respectful. She is still, I'm an old school grandma, Mr., Mrs., yes, ma'am, no. And I think that what is missing in gentle parenting is the redirection. And with redirection, you need more than a don't do that. And so while I definitely agree that conversations are necessary and needed in parenting to be different and to be better than our parents parented us, we do definitely need to allow children a space to say how they feel, what they like, what they don't like. We need them to allow them to be able to share versus just because I said so, or do that because I said so, or I had to do it, so you need to do it. So we definitely need to have conversations and allow children their space to be children and to grow into themselves while also providing discipline when necessary. Say, listen. And so that's what I was saying to YG. So how do you come back from spoiling your kids if you made a mistake? I over directed with my son. My course correction was so over, man, listen, just, briefly to talk about, being from Baltimore, obviously, not obviously, but, I was Baltimore street, relationships, all the things, being, in the streets. And so I wanted different for myself when I made that decision to change my life around. Excuse me. When I made the decision to change my life around, of course, I was like, I don't want my children to know any of that street stuff or, do any of those things. And boy, did I overcorrect. Like, I think my son, like having no street turned into like a lack of it was just a lot. I overcorrected, and I am big enough to say that I overcorrected and I course corrected, and he is doing amazing. However, when you spoil your children, it leaves a space for you to not really give them the tools that they need. And so it's like we spoil them, and that goes back to the gentle parenting also, because when you spoil them without the direction and without the correction and the discipline, then they become spoiled, entitled. And so you have to, I think when you try to undo those things, that takes a lot of conversation and a lot of communication. It takes a lot of, hey, I'm doing this for you because I love you. I'm giving you these things because I want the best for you. What I need from you is to make sure that you honor what I'm doing for you and the privileges that you have and the things that you have and all of these shoes and clothes and electronics and toys and iPhones and Macs and all this other kind of stuff. I need you to respect the fact that you have those things. And so when you respect that, I want you to recognize the boundaries that come along with that. It's like, yeah, I gave you all of these things, but I can't allow you to make others feel less than. I can't allow you to throw it up in somebody's face. I can't allow you to be the person that I wouldn't want you to be. I want you to be better than me, but I want you to be with me. And so when you spoil a child, like, you need to come back and say, listen, you see all of this stuff? This is stuff. But let's talk about you as a person. Let's talk about how we can be better people outside of just having things. And so I think when you start having those conversations with spoiled children, they can recognize and realize, okay, my parents did this, my mom did this, my dad did, they did this because they love me. So let me try to be better and show my appreciation because they appreciated me enough to do these things. And I agree with that because we did not have space. It was like, shut up and do it. We did not have the space. So how often should a toddler watch TV or tablet a day? So I did spoil my granddaughter with that. That was like, my granddaughter was definitely a tablet child. And so we are now trying to, because what happened was she was tablet in the car. So like whenever we traveled anywhere, I put her tablet in the back and she had her tablet. And when she had her tablet all the time. And then it became an issue with trying to get her to watch movies or long form television shows and stuff like that, because a lot of those shows on YouTube Kids are now these parents who have found like the golden ticket with making children's programming, right? And so Coco Melon and all of those things that are so quick that they don't have an attention span. And so you have to be very mindful about how much time they watch. We have definitely weaned her away from the tablet. She uses it maybe about, she only uses it a quarter of the amount of time that she used to use it. So I think that you have to watch what they're watching on the tablet and on the TV. I left space for the tablet. My husband and I left space for the tablet because the things that she were watching were educational things, which you want them to do education, right? But at the same time, it's still a tablet. And so I think that you should be mindful of that and then just watch their habits. Like I said, for her, it was like my husband took her to the movies and she was not interested in the movie at all. And it's just like she needed that information to be real quick. So we were like, okay, we got to start weaning her off of this tablet.
Adrienne, you just answered all my. Thank you for the parenting class.
I know.
I appreciate you. Listen, because we talk about resolving conflict, baby. These kids is the source of my conflicts. Okay.
Yes.
We would be good. We would be good. But I love that you were willing to be so honest with sharing your own personal story, especially when you talked about overcorrecting.
Yes.
Because one of the things that, I'm always talking about like my mommy issues and my mommy trauma. And one of the things that like people have said to me time and time again is you don't want to create a blind spot. You don't want to be so focused on not doing what was done to you that you didn't skipped over all of this and you didn't, like you've missed this other thing because you were so focused on not doing this thing. So Thank you for reminding me. Thank you for that confirmation. And I think too, for everybody here, we have to be intentional. That's what I say. I'm like gentle parenting, no, because I don't have no gentle kids, but I'm intentionally parenting, right? I want to make sure I'm at least, watching what I say to them, watching how I speak around them, watching, all of those decisions. I think we definitely can do our part to be intentional, but not aspiring to be perfect, because perfect and parenting, they don't really go in the same sentence.
Right.
So I appreciate you so, so much. I think this was very useful, very practical, and very relatable information that hopefully everybody here and people who catch the replay will be able to use both personally and professionally. So thank you for being here. And y'all, make sure you follow Adrienne on Instagram. Her Instagram is scrolling right down below at I'm Promoting You. All right. And this is also being streamed on Instagram. So if y'all are already on Instagram, then go ahead and follow Adrienne. I also tagged her in my stories. Adrienne, I appreciate you for being here.
This was amazing, Coriel. Thank you so much for having me. I know I have been trying to connect with you for a little while now. So I am glad that we were able to come together. Thank you all for the questions and for being engaging. I appreciate you. Again, connect with me if you have any questions. Like I said, Corey, I understand, girl. I do. Because I tell my son, I'm like, oh boy, I missed the mark, but you good.
Let's reel this back in. Okay, I'm at year 3 right now. And I'm like, oh, we done took a wrong turn, baby. Let's redirect. So thank you. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you so much. And apparently, based on the chat, the people have enjoyed this session. So I thank you so, so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Y'all, bomb.com. And before we even thought about getting into a conversation around family business, we had to talk about resolving conflict, okay? Because I know that is one of the things that sometimes that fear kind of creeps in, like, oh, do I want to start a bit? Do I want to be in business with the person I'm in bed with? That's a real question. Okay. When we're talking about, starting businesses with your spouse, or starting businesses with the people you date, or starting a business with these children that you have gently raised. Okay. It all comes down to figuring out how you can effectively communicate. And when we talk about relationships, marriages, which of course is part of building this foundation with strong Black families, communication is the number one cause of divorce, y'all. I know they talk about finances, infidelity, all of the things, but it really is the lack of communication that leads to those other issues. And so if we can figure out how to communicate and how to resolve conflict, we can absolutely cut down on half of the issues, at least, that we are dealing with within our families and within our relationships. Now, if y'all are just tapping in, I am Coriel, founder and executive director of For the Culture Foundation, who is sponsoring Thrive 2025. I am going to drop a link in the chat if you are interested in learning more about our programs, if you want to support and donate. This is our Sleepy Mom project, where we send a stressed out mama on a free staycation every single month. When you click that link, you can donate, or you can nominate. You can nominate yourself or a stressed out mama who could use a free staycation. And I'm sure you know somebody. Speaking of stressed out parents, though, I'm going to go ahead and move on to our finale of Thrive 2025. We have Malcolm Bowser representing for the men, bringing the masculine energy into the building. Okay, he is here to share how we can start these family businesses without stressing ourselves out, breaking up these families. Okay, how we can start thriving businesses. He is not only the co-host of my favorite podcast, the Urban X podcast, but he also specializes in helping people launch profitable businesses in 90 days without quitting their jobs or needing experience. So, and he just had a brand new baby. So I know he was tapped in, tuned in, trying to figure out how we can steer these children in the right direction. So without further ado, welcome to the stage, Malcolm Bowser.
Hey, how's everybody doing tonight? Thank you for having me here. Shouts out to the For the Culture Foundation. Thank you, Coriel, for having me here. Everybody who was in the chat, thank you. That was great because yes, as Coriel said, I just had a new baby. I have a 4-year-old who is tearing up the house as we speak. I don't know if you can even hear him. He's tearing up the house as we speak and scaring his little brother. But we are here with you guys. Thank you for joining me. So that last presentation was great because she talked about conflict resolution and family, and that is one of the things that holds everybody back when thinking about starting a business with their family, right? Like, damn, like, we have these, sibling arguments. So I don't know if I'm gonna get along with my dad in this business. I don't know if I can get along with my mom, my sister, things like that. So that's why I wanted to put this this presentation together for you tonight, because I have been running a family business with my family for the past 8 going on 9 years. Might be 9 years now. And it's been an incredible experience. So I always like promote family business because I feel like family is the foundation, right? And a lot of times within our community, when we want to start businesses, our family becomes our like de facto first, shipping and handling department, our de facto, our first, customer service department, because like they're the ones kind of closest to us. They're the ones we tell our hopes and our dreams to, like, just automatically. So they become like our first, benefactors, our first partners, our first investors. So family business is a large part. And tonight I want to kind of dispel some of the myths that go into family business. So that's why the ending part is there, like without sacrificing your relationships, right? So tonight's presentation, as I said before, is how to build a thriving business. This is Thrive 2025 with your family without sacrificing your relationships. All right. So let's get to it. So as Coriel mentioned, my name is Malcolm X Bowser. I'm an entrepreneur, author of the book Urban Excellence, Unveiling Extraordinary Stories by Everyday People. I am the co-founder and co-host of the Urban X podcast. I was born and raised in the Bronx, New York. I graduated in 2015 with my degree in history. And it was the same year that my dad and I came up with the Urban X platform, or what would become the Urban X platform, okay? And since then, we garnered over 65,000 YouTube subscribers, 15 million views, 1 million audio podcast downloads. We even reached number 46 on the Apple Podcast charts. So I'm really proud of that. We have a 6-figure merch line, and we have a 6-figure podcast membership. And my goal overall, right? I thought about this goal. My goal overall is I want to help 1,000 Black families make at least $100,000 in their business, because that totaled up is 100 million, and that can go back into the Black community, with family being the foundation. Okay. Now, my goal tonight for this presentation, I want to break 3 common myths about family businesses, share a proven framework for success, and show you how you can get started immediately. Okay. I'm going to provide a free resource if you stay to the end, and you can get started immediately. All right. So now let me know in the chat, hit a 1 in the chat if you've heard this one before. Okay. You can't mix business and family without ruining relationships, or family and business without ruining relationships. Let me know if you've heard that before. I've heard it. I'm pretty sure you've heard that before. Okay. Okay. So you got some ones in the chat. Yeah, absolutely. Like, this is the one thing that you always hear soon as you say, oh, me and my uncle about to go into business, or me and my cousin about to start this company, or me and my brother or my wife or something. The next one is you have to work long hours to succeed in business. Put a 2 in the chat if you've ever heard this one. Now, this one isn't exclusive to family businesses. It's just something that you've probably heard, especially when talking about entrepreneurship and starting your own business and things like that. People have preconceived notions about everything. So family and business together, it is a tall task to try to, knock down some of these beliefs, but I think I can do it. Right. And myth 3 is hard to make money in family business. Okay. So these are, myth 3 is a combination of, 1 and 2. So these are the 3 myths that tonight I hope I will break down for you tonight, so you can get started so you can build something incredible with the ones that you love. All right. So how we got here. So 2015 was my last semester in college, and my stepmom and my pops, they called me that, like, they told me that my dad's second book was about to be finished, and they were trying to get it released that summer. Okay. So during my senior year, I used to work at Bloomingdale's, and I would strike up a lot of conversations with some wealthy people. Like you wouldn't even know, like, they would just throw the black card down. I'm just, yo, like, like, what do you do? And most of the time they will all tell me, like, I started this company, or I sold this app, or I sold this business when I started it, things like that. So then that's what kind of sparked the idea in my mind, like, yo, I could probably start my own business too. And then I said, yo, my pops, he put out a book in 2005, and him and my stepmom created a company to release that book. So I called my pops. I'm like, yo, whatever you and T got going on for your new book, I want in. He was like, bet, that's all I've been waiting for. All right. So over that time, like, we had a few family meetings / business meetings to come up with some great ideas to try to sell his book. What we didn't understand, though, was by 2015, there weren't a lot of bookstores available. So we had to figure out how to get his book and get his message on the internet so we can sell his book. So that was the initial idea, was to try to really sell his book. Okay. and we tried out a lot of different things, and nothing really worked. And what was a business idea, it turned out to be a really expensive hobby. And a lot of people, I'm sure in the chat, let me know if you can relate, that you have this business, you have this idea, but it starts to cost you more money than it's making you. Let me know if you've ever experienced that. I know we definitely have. But we figured out some things. Okay, we figured out a system, and these were the results. I'm a really private person. I don't really like showing off, but Corel, she gave me the green light. She said, Malcolm, show off. You gotta show receipts. I was like, I bet, right? So these were some of the results, and I pulled these from a few different revenue sources. And this is over the 8-9 years that we've been in business collectively, right? And I'm going to show you, and the reason why I say they're from a couple of different sources is an important point when I get to later in the presentation. So we came up with a system that I've dubbed the FAAM method. Now, FAAM, FAM, right? Now we talk about family business. Easy to remember. If you don't think it's clever, it's okay, because I do, right? But that stands for figure out, attract an audience, and monetize. So what are you figuring out? You're figuring out strengths, you're figuring out roles, and you're defining your niche, whatever business that you're trying to start. You're now attracting an audience. Now you're building trust and credibility with your ideal audience. And then the last part, monetize, which everybody wants to skip to, is to develop products and services that solve real problems. Now, when I speak to people and they have experiences of, their family business failing somehow, it's one of these three here, right? The F, the attract the audience, or the monetize part. Either they didn't do them in a row, or they tried to skip one to the other, or they completely missed two or something like that. It's usually one of these three things that they did not do. And I'm going to explain why they are important. And the last presentation that went before me about conflict resolution is the first one. Okay, so the F, figure out roles, skills, and behaviors. So you want to identify strengths and weaknesses using tools like a DISC assessment, or you can use at your job, you probably have like icebreaker kind of workshops and things like that, because you want to understand that there are different styles. Like, people just have different personalities that might not all mesh, and that's including family too. You might know your brother, you might know your sister, you might know your parents, but you know them on a familiar level. You don't know them in a work setting, and that's what business is, right? A lot of times we don't have, or we skip over the process of understanding who we are in work settings. Okay, so you want to develop strategies that leverage your unique skills in your business. So the problem, when we first started, there were no roles. We were just kind of doing stuff. And I don't even know what we were doing, but we were doing stuff, right? So, like, as I mentioned before, although we knew each other as family, we didn't know how each other worked, right? So we stepped on each other's toes a lot. We had expectations of each other that weren't met, and we began to resist each other. So one of the things, I remember this when we first started, my pops is a very outgoing person. Very, like, he kind of, when he wants to, he can absolutely take over the room. He is very personable. I'm never really been that person. Even doing this, like, I'm still nervous, even though I've been doing a podcast for 8 years now. I still get nervous when I do things like this, right? But my pops, he just has this natural just gift to just be out there, and he thought that was me. Okay, so when we started talking, we would go to events. Like, we did the Circle of Sisters in Manhattan, and people we were trying to sell his book, and people were coming up to me, and I was freezing up. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to sell his book. I didn't know anything, and he was just like, "Yo, like, how come, like, And then another way, they thought, because I'm the young one, right? The gray hairs might fool you, but I'm the youngest one. And they just thought I just knew everything about social media and marketing and things like that. And I was just like, that's not what I went to school for. I told you, y'all heard me, I got a degree in history, not digital marketing, none of that stuff. So I had no idea when we started. So they had expectations of me that weren't being met. And they were looking at me like, yo, what's up? Right. And then it wasn't until we each took disc assessments. Now, my pops, he came across these assessments through Eric Thomas. He is a motivational speaker. I think the number one most motivational speaker. And these disc assessments helped kind of tell the larger story of who we each were. Now, DISC stands for dominance, influence, steadiness, and compliance. These are 4 personality types or personality traits that we each all have. Now, we have all of them, but some of us have more of the dominant trait than others. Some might have more of the influence trait than others. Some might have more of the compliance trait than others, right? So when we each took these assessments, like everything started to make sense. It was like when Neo started seeing like the Matrix, like everything completely started to make sense with us, because my pops, like the dominance, right, the D, or the pilot, as Eric Thomas calls it, that they're the people who are very quick to make decisions. They don't care about anything else behind them. They just want to fly the plane and get the company to where it needs to be, right? Now, the person of influence, those are the people who like talking to people. These are the people who get energy from being around others, who are very personable. The steady period, the people who are high S's, these are the people who need to take longer to make decisions, right? They are like kind of hard-headed a little bit, but they take longer to make decisions. And compliance, these are the people who like to follow the rules, right? So when we each took these assessments, my father was super high in the D. He was like a 99. Like it was like I felt like his like assessment glitched or something. It was crazy. And he was super low on compliance, and it made all the sense in the world. Like my pops, I tease him. I say like he thinks he's Steve Jobs, because like he'll have an idea and won't care how it gets done. He just wants it done. And then me, I scored high on the S and the C, the steadiness and the compliance, which makes sense. If anybody who knows me, makes sense. Like it takes me a little longer to make a decision, and I like to kind of follow protocol, because like I just need things to kind of make sense that way, right? So he would have these amazing ideas, and I would immediately kind of shoot him down. Like, all right, how are we gonna figure? Like, how do we need to figure that out? Like, where are we gonna get the money to do this? And he's just like, I don't care. And I'm like, no, this matters. So that was a natural clash, but we didn't understand where I was coming from. Okay, so once we kind of understood, then we were able to kind of tailor our responses to each other a little bit better, because now he knows, all right, if I have a crazy idea, I'm going to swing about Malcolm. I have to kind of set a little roadmap for him, so it can be easier for Malcolm to kind of accept this crazy idea that I have, right? And vice versa. Or if I know if I know my pops, and vice versa, if I know my pops has the idea, I know it's going to take a little while to get it done. I can say, yo, I can give him a constellation prize. I'm like, yo, we can do this part first. And until then, we can work on these things in the background, so your wish can get done, your goal can get done, but I'm still not getting outside of myself to make you happy, because that's where the fights start. Another reason, and another thing, my stepmom, she scored really high on the I, right? So very personable. She likes talking to people. So when we first started, they had me answering customer service emails, right? I'm okay. Like I don't want to do that. But my stepmom, she loves doing stuff like that. So it's just like, okay, you give her the role to handle customer service, to handle customer complaints. Because if somebody talks spicy to me on the email, I'm gonna want to talk spicy back, and nothing gets done that way, right? But my stepmother, she's pleasant, in the emails of dealing with customers and their issues, figuring it out. She has the patience. I don't. So these are ways that you can kind of figure out who everybody is in your family business, so you're not stepping on each other's toes. Now, keep this disc assessment thing, just keep it in your head a little bit for the end, because I got something special for you, all right? So now let's talk about the second part. Okay, attracting an audience, right? So you need to define your target audience based on your business's niche and values, or niche, however you want to say it. Okay, so you need to utilize digital marketing strategies such as social media or content marketing to reach potential customers, and then engage with your audience consistently to build trust and establish authority. Okay, now I speak to a lot of people, not just family businesses, but people who want to start a business doing whatever. And they say, Malcolm, I worked really hard on this thing. I set my website up, but it's just, nobody's coming to the website. And I'm just like, all right, let's figure some stuff out. Like, what are you doing to get customers? Like, who are you marketing to? And they go, what? I'm like, yeah, like, what are you doing to bring people, strangers, to your website to buy your stuff? And they look at me like I got three heads. And I'm saying, if you don't have an audience, you don't have anything. You might have something to sell, but you don't have anybody to sell it to. Okay. This is a dilemma that many small businesses face. They need sales to grow, but without an audience, generating those sales feels impossible. So weird catch-22. So this creates a challenging cycle that keeps the business stuck and unable to move forward. Right. So, and as I mentioned before, many people think if they build it, people will just come, and it does not work like that. Like I would ask them, like, I usually get one or two responses. It's one of these. It's either I posted it on Facebook, when I launched my business, and a couple of my friends supported, but they're not supporting me no more. Black people don't support each other. And I'm just like, no, that's not their fault. Like, they're probably not your ideal customer. Right. And just posting it on Facebook does nothing to bring awareness and eyeballs to your business. So that does nothing. Right. Or the second one is, like I said, I built it. I just thought they would come. Right. They fall for the marketing of some of these websites like Shopify, like, yo, just build it and you're going to get a bunch of sales. No, people need to get from where they are to your website. So building an audience is vital. Okay. And I think I skipped the slide. Oh no, this is continuing on our business. Okay. So as a small business, us three, it was just me, my pops, my stepmother. Our team and our budget was limited. Okay. So we needed to grow our online presence, but we couldn't afford to do so. Right. Hiring editors and social media managers and marketing managers can get expensive. Then what we did was we discovered a set of AI tools that have helped our digital marketing. Okay. So AI tools, and you should like kind of write these down, screenshot the video, pause it. But Chat GPT, Opus Clip, Video.ai, they helped automate our content creation. And they also took over routine tasks like video editing or posting to social media, and which used to take hours. Now that took minutes. Okay. So this automation saved us countless hours every week, time that was redirected towards strategizing and expanding our business reach. Okay, so we saved thousands of dollars in operational costs, money that we also just kind of reinvested back into the business. So we were able to work on the business and not in it. Okay, so I'm actually going to share my screen. I'm going to show you how you can create, you listening, can create 30 to 40 days worth of content in a few hours a week just using AI. I'm going to show you a quick demonstration. I'm going to share my screen. Okay. Oh, I think I need to. Okay. I'm going to share my screen with you guys. Sorry. I'm back. Sorry about that. All right. So like I said, I'm going to share my screen with you so you can kind of so I can show you how to, create 30 to 40 days worth of content in a few minutes using AI. Okay. So hold on. All right. So I kind of threw off the flow a little bit, but it's okay. Let me know if you're still in the chat. Let me know if you're still here. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen now. I had to go to ChatGPT real quick. Okay. So let me know if you can see that. I'm on ChatGPT. This is the free version. I'm not even paying for it right now. This is the free version. Okay. So what you can do is you're going to type in, I created a prompt for you. Okay. So this is the prompt. So it says generate 50 interview questions tailored for insert business. So give me a business that you want to start. Give me a business quick before I pick it myself. Really quick. All right, let's say travel agent. Okay, travel agency. Hope I spelled that right. I'd be embarrassed. Okay, so generate 50 interview questions tailored for travel agencies to create short and long form video for platforms like YouTube, Instagram Reels, TikTok, YouTube Short. The questions should be diverse, covering topics like industry insights, product use cases, motivational stories, audience pain points, designed to provoke thoughtful and engaging responses. That is long, but just kind of screenshot this and take it. Okay, hold on. Now chat doesn't want to behave. Oh gosh. So it doesn't want to behave. This is embarrassing. It's okay. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, let me go to, okay. You guys get the point. Sorry about that. You guys get the point. Okay. So let me get to more my was. Because ChatGPT didn't want to behave. Okay. So I'm going to quickly run through how to do this. Okay. So you put in that prompt. Okay. So you put it in that prompt. And what you do is it's going to spit out 50 when it's working correctly, it's going to spit out 50 questions, interview questions for your specific business. Okay, whether it's travel agency, dog walking, catering, whatever it may be. Okay, then what you do is then you put in your camera, you can put in your webcam, you can put in your phone camera, you can record yourself. Okay, what you do is you read the question, like somebody's interviewing, you repeat the question, you answer it. Now, a lot of these platforms like Shorts, YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, they go up to 3 minutes. So you can take a minute to 3 minutes to answer these questions, or you can make longer form videos if you are comfortable to do so. But you can read the question out loud, answer it, and then go to the next question. There'll be 50 questions there, right? Then what you can do, you're going to go to a website called opus.pro. Okay, I'll share this with you guys. You're going to go to Opus Clip. It's called opus.pro, right? And then you're going to put that entire video clip into opus.pro. And what it is going to do is it is going to spit out 50 different or 30 to 40 different short form clips that go on YouTube. So this is an example. So this was a podcast episode my dad and I did. I put in the entire clip into Opus and it created these short form clips, and it comes on with the captions by, like, it does all the captions. And say if you need to edit the captions on your own, right? Because like say the AI, now this doesn't want to work. The AI doesn't kind of catch it. You can edit the transcript so the captions can be the specifically to what you said. You can change the color and things like that. And then what you can do on Opus, you can post directly to social media from this website. So, and you can schedule. So you don't have to worry about, being on Instagram, being on YouTube, being on Twitter, or whatever it is you want to use to promote your business. You can literally schedule it from this one website, or you can use another website called later.com, where you can schedule your social media posts a week, 2 weeks to a month in advance. So if you do these things, and hold on, I'm going to show you another website. This is the other website here, later.com. And like I said, you can schedule out your posts in advance. So you can take literally what would take hours and thousands of dollars. Me and my pops and my stepmom, we've paid people like rent prices, like monthly, to create short form clips for us, to schedule them up and things like that, to post them. And we found AI tools that can do them way faster. Oops. Okay. So that was that. Sorry, I wish I had I wish I had a better experience with the AI for you guys, but you get the gist. So now let's go into some math. Okay, so 6-figure business math. You've probably seen a breakdown like this before, but to make $100,000 in a year, you need to make about $8,400 a month, which is $2,100 a week and $300 a day. Now, a lot of people love to see their goals broken down like this because it makes it a little bit more manageable for them. The only thing with it broken down like this for me is that if you've never run a business before, making $300 a day can be tough. Like, you don't know what you're doing, or making $2,100 a week can be tough, right? So today is January 22nd. If you didn't make in your head, like sometimes this can get to you, you'd be like, yeah, I didn't make $300 yesterday or the day before. Like, I'm not gonna make $100,000 in a year, right? So that can kind of stifle you a bit. It can kind of leave you a little stuck. This is how I want you to kind of think about a 6-figure business now. Okay, 1,000 true fans. So the writer Kevin Kelly says that artists and creatives, and I will throw in entrepreneurs in there as well, would be able to make a living off their work if they had 1,000 true fans. So these are people that would listen, watch, read, buy everything that you create because they are so invested into your brand. Now, instead of thinking of $300 a day, what I just showed you with how you can spend hours, using AI, or cutting down time using AI to build your audience, to have a lot of, posts, you can take the entire year to get 1,000 people invested in your brand. If you get 1,000 people the entire year to spend $100 with you over the course of that year, that's $100,000. To me, that feels more doable. Okay, because now investing in your audience, that does something twofold as well. That gets people, like, you start to build a real reputable brand when you really care about your audience and you really take the time to build and cultivate that connection. Okay, now let's talk about the last part, monetize. Okay, so this is where you identify and implement revenue streams that align with your business goals and your audience needs. Okay, so you offer products or services, whichever one, that solve problems to fulfill the desires of your audience. And lastly, this is very, very important, especially within what the stereotype is in our community. You have to provide excellent customer service. You want people to understand that you don't just want their money, you want their business. You don't just want one-off sales. You want people to come back. You want people to have a great experience with you. You want people to invite other people to do business with you as well. So the customer service part, that is a very important part that a lot of people miss when it comes to business. Like, they just want to take people's money. They don't want to deal with the problems, even though they probably did something wrong, right? So we have our own merch brand, and I can't tell you how many shirts and hoodies we've gotten wrong. We've probably messed up, and if people have hit us up and say, hey, this was wrong, or I got the wrong color, or I got the wrong design on it, and we just had to make it right without fighting. Like, hey, right, that was on us, our bad. And what that does is that helps the person to feel better about working with you. They go, yo, I had an issue. Something happened, but they made it right. I want to do business with them again. And then that's how you get repeat customers. You don't just want one-off sales. That's not how you build a business. You build a business by having people come back multiple times to, spend money with you. Now, the problem is that many family businesses, as I mentioned at the top of this presentation, they struggle to turn their audience into paying customers because they either don't have a clear product to sell, or they try to sell too many things at once, right? So that kind of confuses their audience, it dilutes their efforts, and they built an audience, but they just don't know how to sometimes they built their audience, they just don't know how to monetize it. Now, when I showed you our some of our financial numbers, they were from different places. So they were from our merch, they were from our YouTube, they were from our books, they were from our membership. Now, you don't want to do if you're starting out, you don't want to do all those things at once. We did not. We started small. First, we started out with a super, super, super limited run of t-shirts. Okay. And that was so our podcast listeners can wear them as like a badge of support. Then as a result, then we expanded. Then we expanded into more shirts and hoodies and stuff like that. Then to books, then to our digital memberships, then to we created physical planners as well to sell to our audience. So you don't want to do too many things at once because it's going to stretch you thin and it's going to confuse everybody, and you're not going to have a system to be able to effectively, again, do business with people, make sure mistakes are corrected in a timely fashion, make sure you are communicating with your audience. There was one time I ordered a book from a very, very prominent person, huge figure, social media figure, has like 1 million followers, 2 million followers, right? Ordered a book. Okay. Now, it's very natural in the age of Amazon to, as soon as you order something, you want it on your doorsteps, like as soon as you click order, right? So that day I didn't get any tracking information. I said, all right, I'm gonna give him, all right, cool. Next day I didn't get any tracking information, no order confirmation, nothing. Okay. Few 4 days went by, I got nothing. So I'm like, yo, like, what's up? So then I, wrote them like, hey, what's up? I didn't get anything. And then I got back a real feisty response. Like, basically, we're doing the best we can. We moving as fast as we can. Now, this is what I'll say. That could be very true. They could be overwhelmed with the, volume of business that they got coming to them. But that still doesn't negate the fact that they have to communicate with their audience. You have to tell people like, hey, either on your website or have a direct email respond like, hey, this will take 4 or 5 days to get to you. So that's what happens in a lot of small businesses and a lot of our family businesses where we have these products, right? And we put them up for sale. Sometimes you might get hit with a bunch of sales out of nowhere. Something could happen, let's say, right? You might get hit with a bunch of sales. And then because you are only thinking about, the money that's coming in or something like that, or probably getting the orders out, you're not communicating with your audience. And now the people who are bought with you, they're thinking like, yo, did this person steal my money? Like, is this ever going to come? I was expecting this yesterday because I'm always ordering off Amazon. So you have to, and this is why the first 2 parts build onto this one. You have to communicate with your audience and understand like what they are and understand your capabilities to fulfill on whatever products that you're selling. Okay. So the solution now, by focusing on one, well-aligned product, whether it's digital, physical, or a service-based, you can start generating income pretty quickly. Now, the key is to understand your audience's needs and offering a product that directly solves their problem. Okay. So once you validated that first product, then you can build out the additional offerings, creating multiple streams of income that are all tailored to the same audience. As I mentioned before, we first started out with t-shirts. Then we started out with different colored t-shirts and hoodies. Then it was hats. Then it was, our books. Then it was planners. Then we created our membership because we fostered a really great community with our podcast. So we wanted somewhere else to kind of foster that relationship. So you have to think about what your business is, who your business is, who you're serving, and think about products that directly serve them. If you are a productivity coach, then a planner, right? Whether physical or digital planner, that works, right? Or if you are a teacher, the planner works as well, or an online course or something that helps, students with, I don't know, math. My mother's a math teacher, so I just kind of threw that one out there. So what can you sell? You can kind of pause this or screenshot this as well. You have apparel, merchandise, books, handmade goods, fitness products, beauty products, food, tech, or digital products like ebooks, digital guides, courses, workshops, subscription services, memberships, virtual events. Like we're on a virtual event right now. Services like cleaning services, plumbing, exterminating, catering, party planning, landscaping. These are all valuable things that you can sell to your audience once you kind of understand what your business is, what your niche is, and how you need to kind of cultivate that audience. Figure out what your audience needs, and then you can create the product. And you can start off small. It doesn't have to be perfect, because a lot of people they don't get started because they're worrying about being perfect, when the idea of perfecting something, you have to put it out first, and then that's how you kind of perfect it. So when our first shirt sale, it took us, legit, no lie, it took us 5 minutes to do one shirt, right? And then, even like just how they came out and they looked and things like that, but we got better and we started perfecting the product to where it only took us 17 seconds to do one shirt as opposed to 5 minutes. So you want to get it out there first, get feedback, understand what they need. They might not need this part here and whatever product that you created. They might not need this, but they do need this, and you can kind of perfect it that way. So start small. Okay, so I'm bringing it all the way around to the beginning. Okay, so we talked about, myth one: you can't mix family and business without ruining relationships. Well, we just talked about how we can use tools like the DISC assessment so we can effectively communicate, learn how to communicate with each other, and get the entire picture of who we are as family and as co-workers as well. Okay. Myth two: you have to work long hours to succeed in business. I just kind of laid out some AI tools that help make, creating content way faster, so you can build an audience faster, so you can sell to them. So it doesn't have to take you super long hours to find success in your business. Okay. And then myth three: it's hard to make money in a family business. Now, if you've done the work to understand who each of you guys are, if you've done the work to build an audience, all you have to do is think of a product that you can sell that is perfect for that audience. So making money does not have to be hard. Okay. So those are the three myths that I hoped I dispelled for you today. If you have any questions, I'm opening the floor, but I do have a special gift for everybody who is on right now, who watches this replay. It is the Family Business Playbook, Principles, Tools, and Strategies for Success. So it is included with 12 principles to running a family business. Me and my dad and my stepmom, we sat down and kind of crafted these. The FAAM method framework, and explained into detail, which is what I went over today. A 90-day launch list, right? So what you can do in 90 days to take your idea and turn it into a profitable business in 90 days. That is included. A list of tools and softwares, that is included as well. And I also provided a free mini course. And this mini course goes into detail, like really into detail about the DISC assessment and how you can use it. And I also included a free worksheet that goes along, so you can kind of assess yourself. You can download it and print it out, and then you can give yourself an assessment, give your people in your family an assessment. And it's just not for business. This is just for, for relationships as well, so you can kind of understand each other a little bit better. So all you have to do is scan this, or you can go to School of Excellence with an x.com/family. And then all you need is an email and your name, and you got it. So I'm opening the floor for questions. If anybody has a question for me, let me know in the chat. Thank you guys for joining me here. Thank you guys for being here. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Jiggetto is funny. He said ChatGPT says, whatever, I do what I want. It sure did. It sure did. So Coriel asks, is there a boss in family business? Now, this is literally one of the principles in the ebook that we wrote about. Okay, so this is something that my family business that we struggle with because, I work with my dad, my stepmom, and my dad, right? So I always kind of deferred to him when it came to certain things, but he always stressed that in the realm of business that we are partners. Okay, so sometimes the boss role might change depending on what we need in the business. So that's kind of how we ran things. So if there was something that I was kind of more skilled in, I would kind of run it. If it was something that my pops was more knowledgeable and more skilled in, he would run it. So an example is when we created our membership site. I was pretty good at building websites and understanding the basics of digital marketing and email responders, order responders, and things like that. So I was the boss when it came to that. I was the one who was quarterbacking that mission. My pops is a creator. Like, he is super, super creative. So when it came to coming up with shirt designs and shirt ideas, he was the one who kind of took the lead there. Now, this is not to say that there's no pushback provided either, because sometimes some of the ideas that I had, it needed to be pushed back and needed to be challenged. Some of the shirt designs and hoodie designs that my pops had, they needed to be challenged, but that's how everybody gets better. But you have to understand that everybody is kind of on equal footing, unless you actually have a structure and unless you actually are, coming in on a family business. Like your people, your cousins and something might have something and you're joining in. You can't just come in and start running stuff. That's how you get people to not like you. That's in any kind of work setting, not just a family business as well. So, yes, Korea. So establish boundaries and expectations up front. That's what any kind of relationship, but definitely in family business, because you're kind of blending in two sets of like baggages together. Like, you have your family baggage, then you have a business baggage, and when you kind of mix those together, they can get tumultuous. So my pops, when they would when they were first putting out my dad's first book, like in 05, and people had books that they ordered. He said that, my stepmom wouldn't go to the post office and send out books if they had an argument the night before. And he was like, you can't bring that here. Like, this is business. That was, that was home life. You can't bring that here. So you have to kind of do your best to separate them and set ground rules and legit set ground rules. Like, in this field, we are partners here. Okay. And then you can kind of better move that way. Jasmine asked, first of all, Jasmine asked, what's your book about? So my book is called Urban Excellence. And what I did was I interviewed 11 people along all walks of life, some teachers, entrepreneurs. I interviewed my little brother who is disabled, and I got their stories, and I tried to tell a story that success and excellence looks different for everybody. So I took 11 stories from all walks of life, and I kind of compiled it into this one book. And it's actually, yesterday was actually the 5-year anniversary to when it came out. So it's on sale on Amazon right now. So go check it out. Jiggetto said, did you start your podcast with selling merch in mind, or did that idea come later? So believe it or not, that idea came later. Like, when we started the podcast, I don't think I had any idea on how we would make money. Like, we truly didn't. So our podcast, we started in the idea came about, I want to say 2016, 2017. We didn't actually start it to 2018. And we were just kind of going. We were just kind of operating off the force. Like, we didn't have an idea on how it would make money. Like, during that time, there were a lot of people getting podcast deals, sponsorships, commercials, and things like that. Like that was like all of the rage. So that's what we kind of assumed what would happen with us. And when that didn't, we had to kind of pivot and think of other ways that we can kind of go directly to our audience to make money. Janae said, do you put a cap on the amount of family in the business? That is a personal decision because, you might think like the more the merrier, but sometimes the business can get really bloated and then people are just around not doing anything, but expecting the same financial rewards that come from it. By just being there, just because you're my cousin, don't mean like you are, a part of this thing here, right? So you want to see what is needed and see how that person could fill a spot that just like any other job, just like any other company that you will be starting, you wouldn't just have people there just because you know them. Even if you were starting a business by yourself, like if your friend wanted to join and they had no intentions on actually helping you grow the business and move it forward, then why are they there? It's not personal, right? It's business. Just me. Is there a site to take the disc assessment? So as I just mentioned, if you go to the presentation that I had up, the QR code, you can download the playbook, you can download the mini course, and I have a disc assessment worksheet in there so you can take it yourself. And then, I used to give like an actual like 20-page one, but we stopped doing that. The Animated Truth Network. How do you get family motivated to buy in before the money starts rolling? So how do you get that again, that's not just family business, that's business in general. So if you had a company and you wanted to get people to kind of join in, you would have to create a vision. So what does this look like for you? What does this look like for everybody here if this is successful? You have to kind of future vision out what you want your business to look like. So my pops, as I said, great. He is like, the pilot. So he's a great motivator. So even when we're all down, he is able to kind of cast a vision of what this could be. So what you need to do is it could be you. If you have the vision to start the business, you have to be like unshakable in your resolve and what you want this business to look like. And it can't just be money because business is tough. I know Coriel could vouch. Like it's not all, Instagram Lambos and stuff like that. There are some peaks and there are some valleys. So you want to be able to cast a vision so strong, and your why has to be strong enough to get you through some of those moments. So if you're able to cast that vision along to some of your family members, and that goes back to Janae's question, where if it's too many people, then everybody won't be able to buy in. But if you have a solid 4 or 5 people, it could just be you and your wife, right? If you guys are both solid in what you want this to be and what you in the future that you want to create, then that's all you really need. Seriously, right? Or if it's you and your brother, if it's you and your cousin, that's all you really need. It doesn't have to be like, as I just mentioned, our family business has been me and my dad and my stepmom. And my sister will come in when she's home from school and she's helping with shipping and handling and things like that. Eli, my little brother Eli, same thing. So you want to be able to figure out who's in it. And also in the family business playbook, there's also an entrepreneurial self-assessment as well, because you have to understand where some people's values lie when it comes to building a business. So there are different types of entrepreneurs, as my pop says, and you have to figure out like where do they lie. So my pops has this term called a startrepreneur, right? These are people who love to start stuff, but they cannot see anything through. So if you are dealing with people who love to start, but they can't see anything through, you have to kind of be able to figure out how you can kind of cast that vision so you can say, when things get tough, we have to stick this through. When our business started, all we did was we had a meeting time at, I think Tuesdays I think at 7:30, right? Every week, non-negotiable, we had to be there. Those are our family business meeting times. And we didn't even have a business yet, but we were meeting at those same times. And I was getting like frustrated because I was coming home from work. I'm like, yo, we need to get this started already. And my pop's like, yo, like we've never seen anything through before. So this is building our consistency muscle. So when things actually start to happen, it's not new to us, right? So there's so many people who love to start, they have these amazing ideas, but as soon as it gets tough, like, I'm out, right? And that doesn't mean, you have to quit your job to go all in either. It does not mean that, but it means that you have to stick around when things inevitably do get tough, because they will. Do you still outsource now that you use AI? No. So if there's a bill that we don't need to pay, we'll probably do it ourselves. And to be honest, that has been our to our benefit and to our detriment as well. A question: when you think about casting a vision, this goes back to the casting the vision part. You have to think about how big you want to get, right? Because people online and the internet, they talk about building these empires, but those come with a different set of benefits and problems. So when you think about building a really big business, sometimes it does outgrow the family. It does outgrow your living room where you were running the business, or it does outgrow your garage. So you have to kind of figure out where you are comfortable and where your line is, to say like, okay, this is where we're going to keep everything in-house, and then we'll start to outsource, whatever, manufacturing, whatever that may be. But it's tough, right? It's tough because these businesses become like our babies. So it's hard to kind of let that go. I've had the hardest time letting things go when it comes to the business. I feel like, I could do it the best. Like, why would I pay somebody to do this when I could just do this myself? But to scale and to actually get further along, you have to kind of multiply yourself. And that's what outsourcing is. And that doesn't mean it's not a family business anymore, because there are a lot of family businesses, big corporations in the country that started out as family businesses, but I doubt that mom, dad, sister, brother are still in the office running things. So I'll say that. Anything else?
Malcolm, round of applause.
Thank
Even
you.
with Chat GPT hating on you the way that they did.
So good.
Baby.
So good.
So wait, I did have a question about the prompt.
Yes.
Because we do need the prompt. I did take a screenshot, but for anybody here that did not get that screenshot, where can they get the prompt?
I didn't actually put. So can I put in the chat? I'll put in the chat for you guys.
You can put it in the chat. They could DM you.
Oh,
they
you can DM me. Yes, you can follow me
you.
follow me on Instagram, Malcolm X Bowser, at Malcolm X Bowser. You can follow me on Twitter and things like that. And I will definitely DM me, and I'll definitely send it to you. Or you can email me, info@MalcolmXBowser, and then we could talk there as well.
Make sure y'all stay connected. His handle is down below. If you are interested in checking out the podcast and learning more and supporting his business, then make sure you subscribe, stay connected, and all of the things. I told y'all he hosts my favorite podcast. So if you are here for the culture, and I know a lot of the Urban X family signed up and are here, so thank y'all for being in the building, but definitely make sure y'all go over and support his platform as well. We have to make sure we are practicing group economics, not only with our dollars, but really with our support. Okay, the dollars are good too, but we can do so much more just by spreading the word, referring people. If you know someone who has an idea and they don't know where to start, Malcolm is the perfect place to send them. So thank you so much, Malcolm, for joining Thrive 2025 and closing out this virtual conference.
Thank you for having me. This was an honor, and I'm so glad I got to do this. And Thank you so much.
Thank you. Listen, representing, bringing the masculine energy into the building. Now, y'all, I told you that this is the first of many, and I meant that. Okay, so this was Thrive 2025. We had to start the year the right way. But up next, we are bringing you Roots 2025. Okay, Black History Month is going to be special this year from February 24th through the 26th. You can join us for Roots 2025, our second installment of this virtual conference experience. So it is free to register. As you know, donations are encouraged. Every single dollar is reinvested into the Black community through our free staycations. Every single month, we are sending a stressed out mama on a staycation, and you can support that by donating to For the Culture Foundation. So the Roots 2025 conference will be held from February 24th through the 26th, and our focus is on rebuilding the Black community. So we will have sessions on building family legacy through healthy relationships, healing minds, mending hearts, and building legacy in Black families, and then healing together. We'll be talking about the intersectional mental health, equity, and legacy of the Black family. So if you are a member of a Black family, which we all are, or you are starting your own Black family, this is definitely the place to be. You can log on to thecurefortheculture.com. I also dropped the link in the chat. If you would like to register, you can just copy that link. And you will also receive an email later this evening with an opportunity to register there as well. Thank y'all so much for joining us for Thrive 2025. Be sure to log on to thecurefortheculture.com to learn more about For the Culture Foundation and follow us on Instagram at The Cure for the Culture. Thank you so much for tapping in. I will catch y'all at Roots 2025.